Hello, everybody. My name is Brianne Lazinski of Soul's Compass Healing. This is a channel and a place where we dive deep into what is happening in us, around us, and through us. And so I'm in this beautiful valley here today. Check out that view. And I'm next to the side of a road, so there might be some disruptions, but hey, I'm okay to be that girl who's filming herself on the side of the road. Today we are talking about this new moon in Aquarius happening on February 9th, 2024. What a powerful new moon this is. And this word has come to me today. Well, actually, yesterday, but as this Mercury conjoins Pluto in Aquarius, rogue. By definition, this word means an animal or a human who leaves its herd and acts in an unruly or destructive manner. And it is in the spirit of this new moon that I am announcing to you all that I'm about to go rogue. With intention. I am seeing the necessity of rogueness. Is it not constructive to deconstruct the systems in society that oppress us? Is it not helpful to go against the grains that have got us in these deep ruts of stuckness where we are pinned against one another as human beings? Yeah, I think it is helpful to be destructive sometimes. And so, this is the spirit. This is the spirit of this new moon in Aquarius. Aquarius is objectivity. Aquarius sees destruction in an objective way, that it's necessary sometimes, right? And so it is of service to free yourself and do the unthinkable. And you do need to have a level of detachment to what will others think. Is anyone gonna listen? Does anybody actually care? Who cares? I don't. I don't care. I do, but I'm trying to say that my intention is to dismantle oppression within our society, and I don't have any ill intent towards anybody, and so I don't care if people look down on me for that or don't want to listen to me because of that. I'm doing my thing, and I'm rocking it, and if you're enjoying it, then thank you. It feels really great to have people who do want to listen to what I have to say. It's a blessing. And if you want to listen to more of what I have to say and slowly watch the Rogue Show, you can follow me on Instagram. That's where I am going to be putting out more of like a daily vibe, the rogue vibe of the day. And yeah, follow me there. Also, I am offering one-on-one support sessions with folks where we dive into your most dynamic tensions that you're feeling at this moment in time through the healing lens of evolutionary astrology. It is a mega support that honors the individuality of each soul that I meet with, and I would be so honored to meet with you if that is feeling in alignment in your bones. Okay. So this new moon is square Uranus. Uranus rules this moon, right? Uranus is also ruling Pluto because Pluto is now in Aquarius. And Uranus just went direct. So Uranus is in the sign of Taurus, now stationed direct at 19 degrees. This has to do with integration of our unique genius in the society and the culture that we find ourselves in. Okay? So, I also would like to point out too that, whatever, maybe I'll come back to that. My notes are extremely messy, so bear with me. I might be jumping around and making a whole lot of nonsense. My goodness. Okay. Aquarius, new moon, conjoined Chariklo with Chiron in 1 balsamic degree from the North Node, and actually will be conjuncting the North Node on the day after this new moon. So what does this symbolize for us? Well, Chariklo is a space holder, okay? So she is Chiron's wife who holds the space for his healing journey. And so what I would like to say in regards to this is that some people are born with, the natural capacities to hold space for others and themselves, and some people aren't. But at the end of the day, we all have to practice it. We all have to practice holding space for ourselves, first and foremost, and we all have to practice holding space for others in our relationships. And the reason why we need to practice this is because that's how we learn to understand what our needs are, what our go-to reflexes in terms of like what we naturally want to resist or push down or repress are, or push away, right? And so we're not going to know these dynamics about our relational self unless we practice holding space for ourselves and others, right? So holding space for oneself is deeply empowering, and one can learn so much from holding space for oneself. And in that exchange, in holding space for another person to process what they're going through, or to feel held by somebody holding space for you, is such a gift. And I would really, really, really love to see, and I try to do this in my daily life, in my relationships, is to give and receive that as best as possible, and to make it a practice. We don't hit the bullseye every time, and that's okay. But the spirit of showing up for one another in our wounds, in our hardships, I would like to see it there. I would like to feel it there in my relating to myself and others. And I would like to see it when I look out into the world, It doesn't always have to look like the way that I would do it. Most certainly not. But, it should be there. This capacity of holding space for one another. So, have you ever had to give up your authenticity in order to survive? Have you ever sacrificed your own desires because there wasn't enough freedom to act upon them? Basically, anything that has robbed you of your capacity to stand up, to protect and defend yourself as a dignified individual who has just as much of a place to be here as everybody else, these are the wounds and their respective healing journeys that are unique to each and every one of us. So when Chiron passes the North Node, this indicates a completion of layers of the wound by way of instinctually administering the medicine for healing. Okay, in terms of the evolution of the human species, this is a high priority. So this month, pay close attention to your instincts, and I am wishing you all the freedom possible to do the things that will restore your will to live authentically. And if you, my dear friends, are in need of some inspiration, I highly suggest that you look into what the Maori people are doing right now in New Zealand. I have never experienced a culture with such a spirit of true warriorship and mana, which is this amazing Maori word that you can only feel it, you know? You can only feel it when you watch Maori people standing in who they are as dignified humans. It is so beautiful to watch. So, if you would like to see the astrology in action, watch what's happening in New Zealand right now. It is so interesting. So interesting, and I'm standing in solidarity with Maori peoples 100% all the way, super humbled and in awe of their strength and the strength of all indigenous and colonized peoples. Okay, so what else do I want to talk about today? I obviously want to talk about something that I alluded to in the last video, which was about Mars and Venus, okay? So we've got, on February 13th, Mars will be conjunct Pluto. So Mars is ruling the North Node, okay? And it will be conjunct, so right next to Pluto. On the February 16th, 3 days later, there's that magical Trinity number, Venus, conjunct Pluto, in Aquarius. On February 20th, Mars and Venus conjunct each other. And this brings me to shed a little light on the conjunction aspect. Okay, so if we were to equate the phases of the moon to an analogy for, the purposes of teaching right now, we could say that each phase of the moon correlates to a different phase of the plant cycle. Okay, so new moon equals the conjunction aspect of astrology. Okay, they correlate. Equals, in terms of our analogy that we're talking about right now, the seed in the dirt, the seed in the earth. So new moon is darkness. Earth, soil, dirt is darkness. And a requirement of something growing in the dirt, right, is a seed. A seed needs to be there. Seed comes before anything. Seed comes before root. Seed comes before stem. Seed comes before leaf. Seed comes before flower. Seed comes before the dyeing and the composting. It comes before it all. And so it is so powerful because what is in that seed has the potential and the power of being expressed through the whole life cycle of that plant. And so that's why it's so important to pay attention to intention and what seeds we are sowing on the new moon. Witches have been sowing seeds, physically and metaphorically on the new moons for eons because of its power. And so this new moon in Aquarius, so shortly after Pluto entering Aquarius, with the rulers of the lunar nodes doing their dance that I just talked about, this is an incredibly seed-sowing, potent time. And so, interestingly, Mars approaches Pluto first. Could this be an acupuncture point? Okay, precision. Evolutionary astrology is about precision. Acupuncture point, precise. Of our own individual desires spearheading us into the age of Aquarius. Could this be an acupuncture point for healing our inner masculine by liberating it? What would be liberating for your inner masculine? And then with Venus conjuncting Pluto 3 days later, could the same be asked for our inner feminine? What would be liberating for her? And then, of course, collectively asking what would be liberating for men and what would be liberating for women. So, Uranus is in Uranus and Aquarius, This Jeffrey Wolf Green taught that Uranus and Aquarius correlates to the individuated subconscious. And the rulers of the lunar nodes represent the play-by-play of evolution from the past into the future through the present moment. It's the lunar nodes. Pluto, the soul and its evolutionary path. The deep, dark truths that are easy to resist because they are powerful. That's Pluto, yeah? So when we take Pluto into Aquarius, we can appreciate by putting on our Scorpio X-ray glasses, I call them, the unfathomable depth of our individuated subconscious. This is what directs most of our life and conscious awareness. Uranus is referred to as the individuated memory bank. Strings and strings of lifetimes of memories live in our subconscious. Blending in the current evolutionary theme, North Node Aries, South Node Libra, and their ruling planets, Mars and Venus, this month is a ripe opportunity to seed new intentions for relating as we begin a new relating cycle, with the opportunity to see the hidden beneath the surface mechanisms of our relating patterns. It takes bravery to look at our primary relationships and or our relating dynamics in the wider tapestry of life and follow each thread further down into its subconscious origins. And with Mars and Venus currently in balsamic phase to one another in the sign of Capricorn, we could say that this is about taking responsibility for our relationship with self and all else, how that is an essential part of this culmination of old ways of relating and spontaneously seeding new ways. It's no coincidence that we've been feeling the heaviness of Pluto culminating 20 years in Capricorn, and that we are experiencing the heaviness of Mars and Venus, the two planets that are most have to do with relating, right, with self and all else, being in this culminating phase also in the sign of Capricorn. So take responsibility for yourself in relationships. You have a part in the grand symphony of relating to all that is. And I want to make clear that this is not a statement of dismissing abuse, okay? You know, sometimes there's this, sometimes, God, all the time, there's this disgusting dismissing of abuse happening, you know, with sayings such as like, oh, it must have been your fault, you just didn't protect yourself enough, or yeah, you called it, you brought it on. Stuff like that is 100% bullshit. Abuse is real, and abuse is never your fault. Okay? So We live in a world where all of these things can exist. I think so. Okay. So, one major unconscious thread we are all a part of is unconscious guilt and shame. And yes, there are times to feel natural guilt and shame, like when somebody intentionally harms somebody, in order for that person to evolve and stop harming people, they should feel guilt and shame because it encourages them to clean up their mess and get their act together and act responsibly, right? There's this other sort of guilt-shame complex, though, that is not natural, and it has insidiously seeped into our unconscious through the perpetuation of the idea of original sin. Thank you, Age of Pisces. That you are guilty by nature. Just by being born, it's all your fault. And so we all walk around with cloaks upon cloaks of shame. Do you think that this gets in the way of healthy relating? Of course it does. Because shame gone unaddressed keeps us stuck in the same old relating patterns. Okay? And so this moon, in conjunct a retrograde Juno, conjoined Black Moon Lilith in Virgo, the sadomasochistic undertones of our relating patterns are requiring integration into our consciousness. They are very destructive undertones when spontaneously acted on from the unconscious, and this can manifest as martyrdom, self-sacrifice, inflicting pain on others to relieve the pain that we feel inside. And this new moon can really seed new pioneering ways for us to integrate healing these wounds. Hint, it requires making the unconscious conscious. It's about returning to the inner marriage with self and processing any shame for being exactly who you are. The push-pull dynamics of bringing this from the unconscious into the conscious awareness will continually be a part of our healing journey. And so if we maintain focus on healing the unnatural guilt and shame, we become freer to integrate our whole selves into our bodies, our life, our relationships, and how we love. As Martin Prichtel says, my most favorite simplistic definition of love is health. So, I would like to, before I wrap up here, take responsibility and release the shame for your bit in the relational web of life. I feel like I am a bit of a broken record. I've been talking about this a lot, and this month is really where it's happening, folks. We've really got this culminating of old ways and spontaneously birthing anew happening this month. So, seed sowers, it is a time to get really intentional with this new moon and to take utmost responsibility for ourselves and how we show up and relate with others in order to birth anew, okay? Because the future is here, the future is here. I saw back in, when was that, 2014, when I was touring Norway and Sweden, there were these signs of kids trying to toboggan down a mountain or a hill that didn't have any snow on it, and it was like the warning of like climate change is happening faster than you think. And I remember looking at those signs and being like, whoa, okay. And it's here. It's here. There's no snow. So the future is now. Um, we we have to make big changes now. And so, yeah. Uranus represents, as I said, the individuated unconsciousness. And if you're ready to have a look at your own nature, both consciously and unconsciously, well, guess what? Pluto is in Aquarius now, so it's about diving deep into that. You know? And there will be great resistance, most likely at one point, because that is the nature of evolution. All right, it's a physical law. If something is moving through time and space, there will be a resistance happening to that, right? We have, it is a law of physics, and us as humans, in who we are and how we are, is no exemption to that. And so, with with Uranus being in the sign of Taurus, one aspect of this can be resistance. And Taurus is a fixed sign, and it naturally squares the Leo Aquarius axis in the zodiac, right? Which is all about mutable change, you know, diving into the unknown. And so resistance to our evolution is alive and well. We can all see the ostriches burying their head in the sand, and we can all see people getting up on their soapbox. Mine is called Soul's Compass Healing. That's the name of my soapbox. And trying to initiate, trying to, like, you know, put the frickin', what are they called? You know, when you put the things on the people's hearts and you get it going again. Can't remember what it's called right now. Anyways, yeah, trying to initiate change. And I just want to say this one important thing. Pluto in Aquarius obviously represents that, yes, there will be cults, because Pluto is a power dynamic being played out unconsciously, and so people will be using their power in sneaky ways to penetrate into other people's unconscious, and getting them to follow them, right? Getting them to join the cult, because they've found this sort of sneaky way of digging into that person's vulnerability that lies within their unconscious, and they've hooked them in. You know, this is the nature of cult dynamics. And so I just want to send out a little healthy reminder that cults do exist, and they exist in many different forms and ways that we might not even expect. Okay, so if you find yourself all of a sudden your feed is there's something on your feed that is a person inviting you to pay the money and join their cult, and obviously they're not saying like, hey, you should give me all your money and join my cult. You know, it's never like that. So it's going to be a lot more hidden beneath the surface what their actual motivations are, right? It's people abusing power to prey on others. And we have, you know, because of technology, we could join a million cults through our cell phone nowadays. And so if somebody unexpectedly comes into your reality somehow, and you find that you are using their techniques or methodology to convince yourself that their way is the right way, and that you should give them money, and you should join this and that, and blah, 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 just take it slow. You know, that would be a good time to lean into some resistance. That would be some healthy resistance. Think about it. You know, think about it. How do we protect our unconscious from being preyed on? We get to know our wounds, our traumas, our shadow, and we actively love those parts, offering compassion and taking responsibility for them. Okay, so this moon is also in third quarter trine to Vesta in the sign of Gemini. And so we have, there is potential for there to be some lightning bolt, instantaneous revelations about how we can do our work, how we can communicate about our work in the world, and for that it is very exciting. And so I am going to close this session with y'all today and just let you know that I'm here. Reach out, write to me if you would like to chat about how this month is feeling for you. It is a very, very, very powerful month. And so I'm excited. I hope you're excited. Thank you so much for receiving what I have to give. Thank you so much for being here. And if you are finding this to be helpful, please do share. I would love to meet more people who are down to chat about this type of stuff.